For decades now, NASA, in partnership with Elon Musk's SpaceX, has successfully developed and launched a number of space missions to explore the Martian landscape. From the findings obtained by these space probes, we know that Mars is similar to our planet and holds the possibility of life. However, that's not all there is to Mars, as there are some discoveries that NASA has not made public. NASA has chosen to keep them secret because they hint at alien existence. What are these alien artifacts that NASA has chosen not to publicize? But Elon Musk has just revealed them. Could this be the proof that extraterrestrials are actually living in space? Join us in today's video as we explore how Elon Musk reveals NASA found alien artifacts on Mars. If there is one thing we know about NASA, it is the fact that it doesn't hold back when it comes to space exploration. The space agency always gives its best in terms of human resources and financial resources to every space mission. This is why many are surprised that NASA has chosen to keep silent about the discovery of evidence of extraterrestrial life on Mars. However, this secret has come to light thanks to Elon Musk, who is not only letting the cat out of the bag, but is committed to uncovering more alien artifacts on the Red Planet. Elon Musk is not your regular billionaire. Beyond amassing wealth from innovation and tech products, Musk is passionate about space exploration. It's for this reason that he founded SpaceX in 2002 with the main goals of reducing the cost of space transportation and colonizing Mars. Serving as the CEO and Chief Technology Officer of SpaceX, Musk has helped manufacture many spacecraft and is at the forefront of Earth 2.0. Our planet is a great place to live, but we have to start thinking about the possibility of extinction. It happened to the dinosaurs. What stops it from happening to us too? The sensible solution at this point is to move to another planet, and the only planet that shares similarities with Mother Earth and has shown promise of life is Mars. This is why Elon Musk is keen on exploring the Red Planet and colonizing it for the human race. Musk is not pursuing this goal alone, as he has been collaborating with NASA. However, something new has emerged from Musk's relationship with NASA. They have found alien artifacts on Mars. These artifacts might be discoveries to the public, but they are old news to NASA. Isn't that strange? We can't tell this story without going back in time to the late 1960s when NASA commenced development of a new space mission that would later be known as the Viking mission. The mission, which the NASA Langley Research Center managed, was made up of two space probes, Viking 1 and Viking 2. The space mission was developed to achieve three main scientific objectives: obtain high-resolution images of the Martian surface, characterize the structure and composition of the atmosphere and surface, and search for evidence of life on Mars. Launched into space on August 20th, 1975, the identical spacecraft landed on Mars in 1976. The space project, which cost the United States about $1 billion, saw each spacecraft divided into two main parts, an orbiter and a lander. The function of the orbiter was to photograph the surface of Mars from orbit, while the lander was designed to study the planet from the surface. Speaking of photographs, the Viking space probes took thousands of photos of the Martian landscape and communicated these images back to NASA. From the images, we learned of the many geological forms that could be found on Mars. Researchers could also trace Mars's history to a time when the planet still had large amounts of water, and we saw evidence of this from the images of huge river valleys around the planet. Volcanoes weren't left out, as the flanks of some volcanoes are believed to have been exposed to rainfall. Beyond the geological forms and atmospheric conditions of Mars, the Viking craft revealed one area of the Red Planet that we didn't know existed: Cydonia. Cydonia can be found in the northern hemisphere of the Red Planet. It lies in the middle of a transitional zone between the heavily cratered regions of the south and the relatively smooth plains to the north. The world knew little to nothing about this region until the Viking orbiter took about 18 iconic images that would revolutionize our understanding of Mars. In fact, these images are responsible for extending our boundaries on what we previously thought was possible about the Red Planet. When scientists finally examined these images, they got the shock of their lives. One of the images had the appearance of a humanoid face, and thanks to NASA, this image found its way to the public. It didn't take time before it was nicknamed the face on Mars. The Viking took a second image at a different angle, and it also shows the face. This unusual face-like structure on the Martian landscape has two eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and we owe this discovery to scientist Toby Owen, who was a member of the imaging team, had uncovered the distinct face on a Sunday afternoon while using a magnifying glass to examine a set of mosaic Polaroids. He was bent on his knees and hands when he saw that one frame, 35:72, had a peculiar-looking mesa that resembled a human face. Owen had exclaimed, "Oh my God, look at this," because it was not every day one saw a human-like face image on a planetary body. In the coming days, other scientists would mirror Owen's reaction. This face on Mars is a 2 kilometers long Sidonian mesa that has generated the controversial hypothesis that aliens once lived on Mars. Some researchers are even of the opinion that they still live on Mars. We might just have to agree with them because we have yet to successfully comb through the nooks and crannies of the red planet, and there's still a lot we don't know about the planet. And this makes it much easier for aliens to stay hidden within the Martian landscape without us knowing. This explains why Elon Musk is not backing down from Mars exploration and possible human colonization. We never can tell. We just might discover extraterrestrials soon. Naturally, one would expect that NASA would just be as excited as everyone that we just might have stumbled on concrete evidence that aliens exist. But the reverse is the case, as NASA is opposed to the hypothesis that perceives the image as an alien artifact. This is a bit surprising because if we can remember, one of the objectives of the space mission is to look for evidence of life on the red planet. Now one piece of evidence was staring at us in the face, yet the agency was rejecting it. In fact, the space agency believes that the face on Mars isn't real, and it made this clear when it denied the narrative in the press. NASA was quick to paint the image as a mere optical illusion. According to Gerald Soffin, the project scientist for the Viking mission, the image was a product of tricks being made by light and shadow. NASA told the world that the image was merely a trick due to the way the light fell on it. The space agency claimed that it took another photograph a few hours later, but the image had disappeared. Here's where this story gets tricky. That second image was never published. This makes the public think that NASA is trying to deceive us. That's the only explanation for this event, but no one has ever asked why this image was never produced. But it doesn't end here. When NASA sent the Viking space probes to Mars, scientists had already earmarked Cydonia to be the landing site for the spacecraft. This was due to the unique geographical features of the region and how it was better positioned to help learn about the surface of Mars. Now, Viking 1 and Viking 2 didn't exactly leave the Earth the same day. Viking 1 had departed our planet about 2 weeks ahead of Viking 2 and arrived in Mars's orbit 2 months before the latter. Viking 2 was expected to land in Cydonia. However, a few days after the release of the iconic image, there was a change of plans. Viking 2 ignored the flat terrain and adventurous rocky formations of Cydonia for a new region called Utopia Planitia. It still doesn't make sense why Viking 2 would leave Cydonia where visibility was good for a barren rocky region, one that the scientists working on the mission weren't keen on exploring. In fact, they complained about this and likened it to landing on the Sahara Desert with the intention of discovering a garden. Nevertheless, there was nothing they could do about it because the orders had been given. Thus, we have been forced to ask ourselves a very important question. What's going on in Cydonia that NASA doesn't want us to know about? This decades-long secret has finally been revealed. If we are to truly understand the magnitude of what NASA is hiding about Cydonia, we have to go back in time to ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians didn't build their great monuments, such as the pyramids of Giza, in isolation. Instead, the structures were a part of complexes of buildings, temples, town squares, markets, and palaces. The same could be said for other ancient civilizations in South America and the rest of the world. Let's apply the same logic to the humanoid face on Mars. There's no way the ancient beings who constructed the face on Mars only came up with one structure. We should expect to see other structures close by, and this is actually the reality of Cydonia. A deeper look around the face, and you would see a cluster of pyramids that have been nicknamed the City Square. These distinct pyramids are grouped. Although NASA would rather have us believe that these structures are naturally occurring, all evidence points to something different. The setting of these pyramids is too unique for them to be considered natural structures. They are obviously artificially made, as the layout of the pyramids, including other features like spiral mounds and buttress walls, indicate the organized layout of a city. Close to this city square is another object called the fortress, which looks like a collapsed pyramid. Also, we have a formation called the DNMM Pyramid, which is named after NASA's scientists Vince DiPietro and Greg Molinar. The duo were the image scientists who had discovered this one-of-a-kind formation while poring over images from Cydonia. The DNMM Pyramid is a massive 5-sided, 3 kilometers long, and 1 meter high structure, making it 3 times the size of the largest pyramid in Egypt. Yet, this is not the most intriguing part of this structure. The exciting part of this discovered structure is that it is symmetrical between 2 axes. Skeptics would say that it is merely a coincidence that we have these structures within a few miles of each other. They are quick to dismiss these organized structures as naturally occurring formations that were created from the geologic formations. It would have been easy to believe them if not for the selfless efforts of scientists such as Errol Torin. Torin, a professional satellite imaging specialist, decided to investigate these weird structures. An employee of the Defense Mapping Agency, Torin's job was focused on observing all the satellite images coming from Mars and determining which ones were natural and those that were artificial. After spending several hours investigating the images, looking over each feature for the umpteenth time, Torin concluded that all the objects around the face and the face itself were not of natural origin. This could only mean one thing. An ancient Martian civilization was responsible for constructing all the structures, including the humanoid face. Specifically, Torin was more fascinated by the DNMM Pyramid, and it's a no-brainer why. This was the case. There is still no mechanism that can explain the formation of the DNMM Pyramid. How does nature carve out a 5-sided bilateral symmetry structure of that magnitude? It's impossible, and NASA knows this. Hence the reason it has been hush-hush about this region. The DNMM Pyramid is unlike any land-based formation seen anywhere in our solar system, as its axis of symmetry also points to the face. Further study of this formation found mathematical relationships between all the structures in the area and wasted no time nicknaming the pyramid the Rosetta Stone of Mars. Torin is not the only scientist who extensively studied this formation. Richard Hoagland, an astronomer and former NASA consultant, embarked on a study in 1973 to learn more about this unusual structure. He performed further analysis of the images gotten from the Viking mission. Like its sister formations around the face, the features of the DNMM Pyramid were inconsistent with the Martian geology. The structure doesn't align with the geomorphological processes of Mars. Working with the Stanford Research Institute, Hoagland concluded that ancient inhabitants of the Martian landscape artificially constructed the pyramid. These structures are enough proof that there was once an organized, intelligent civilization living on Mars. Only an intelligent society could build a structure with such mathematical significance. With all this, skeptics are still bent on pointing out that there is no concrete evidence that the structures are man-made. However, all doubts will be cleared soon with Elon Musk's current exploration of Mars. In the coming decades, we will uncover more evidence that confirms that the face and the structures close to it were constructed by an extraterrestrial society. This will attest to the long-held notion that aliens or extraterrestrials are much more intelligent and advanced than we give them credit for. It could also prove that extraterrestrial life could also be found on other planets. What better place for aliens to hide from humans than the faraway planets and galaxies? The bigger question is how long have these aliens existed in our universe? Hopefully, we get to answer this question soon and also pick a thing or two from the technology of these beings. Another area of this research that we expect Elon Musk's exploration to answer is the purpose of these structures on Cydonia and the timeline of their construction. Agreed that the ancient Martian people had decided to build a humanoid face. The hanging question in the room is why? What's the purpose of the face-like structure to these extraterrestrials? Is it the palace of their king? Or is it a complex of residential buildings? Also, what are these pyramids designed to store? Dead bodies or food? The more bizarre and puzzling question is why does the structure resemble a human face? Although it would be difficult to answer these questions, we can be sure of one thing. The aliens have known about our existence for a long time. The face on Mars is proof that they have been spying on us for a long time. Who knows? The face on Mars might be concealing the spacecraft that they used to secretly explore our planet. More so, the peculiar features of the DNMM Pyramid and other pyramid complexes suggest that there may be some iota of truth in the narrative that the pyramids of Egypt were actually constructed by the visiting aliens, as opposed to the popular notion that ancient Egyptians built them. A lot of discoveries are bound to be birthed once scientists uncover concrete proof about the existence of the face on Mars structure and its closed-door neighbors. It would amuse you to know that the face on Mars is not the only alien artifact that has been uncovered on the red planet. There are still other eye-opening artifacts that NASA and other Martian explorers like Elon Musk have discovered. What remains a mystery is why NASA is keeping these discoveries a secret. The crown face belongs to this group. In fact, it is one out of the other face-like structures that were discovered from analyzing images obtained by NASA space probes over the years. Thousands of images of the Martian landscape have been captured and sent back to scientists to observe and provide interpretation. The crown face was discovered from one of such endeavors. Also known as the King's Face, this structure is almost 18 kilometers wide and can be found in the Libya Montes region of Mars. Unlike the image of the face of Cydonia, the crown face has greater detail and distinct features that include a crown. Some researchers have interpreted the right side of the structure as a female face that is looking to the left, while some claim to see layered faces. The beauty of the crowned face is that when it is viewed from different angles, or with different sun angles, the face-like structure doesn't disappear. This is why it has been hard for NASA to dismiss this formation as another example of pareidolia. Yet, the space agency would never agree that the crowned face is an artificially constructed structure. Instead, it prefers to go with the narrative that the face is a naturally occurring formation. But the question NASA has failed to answer is, how many natural formations have such detailed features? Another shocking discovery obtained from the Martian images captured by NASA is a rock face that bears a close resemblance to the statues of ancient Sumerian gods. This explains why it is called the Sumerian face. Some scientists argue that this face is merely a rock formation. But why then does it bear a striking resemblance to Nabu, the Sumerian god of literacy and wisdom? Although we may never know the answer to this question, we have every reason to believe that this ancient Martian civilization had something to do with the ancient Sumerians. Similarly, there is a rock face buried in sand somewhere on the Martian surface. This discovery can be found within an outcropping of rocks, and it has some resemblance to the depictions of the Sumerians. From the imagery obtained by NASA, this rock face is half buried in the sand and appears to be distinctly carved. This last bit of information is why some extraterrestrial life enthusiasts are keen to know whether Mars was once home to a thriving population of aliens. Considered to be one of the least distinct faces that have been found on Mars, the Meridiani face is another evidence